Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we have our full review of the Tecno Pova 6 Pro 5G. This phone is touted to fully charge in just 50 minutes and has bypass charging. We have a full HD Plus AMOLED display with a 120Hz refresh rate and a peak brightness of 1300 nits along with a 1500 touch sampling rate. The phone is powered by MediaTek Dimensity 6080 processor, 12GB of RAM, and a 256GB of storage. While testing, this phone almost disrupted my full review. Watch the video to find out and maybe you will learn something. Now, let's start with the unboxing. Here's what we have in the box: a warranty card, a game sticker, a protective case, also known as a condom case, wired earbuds, a power cable, a 70-watt charging brick, and our Tecno Pova 6 Pro 5G phone. Before we continue, I wanted to share my experience with a black screen. So me being stuck on a black screen. And to give you context is what I did is I drained the phone's battery so that I could start my charging test. So that's when I encountered the black screen. So I tried to reset the phone several times to see if it will resolve the problem, but apparently it didn't. So what I did now is to observe the phone and let it charge for a few minutes and see maybe it will solve the problem. So when I turn back the screen or turn on the phone, sadly it remained on the black screen. Then I restarted the phone again, and which briefly showed a wallpaper but started blinking. So after another reset with these having the same issue, I had no other choice but to open the bootloader to potentially clear the cache and data that might have corrupted the system. But unfortunately, there was no option when I went to the bootloader menu. So what I did is just to reset the phone into a factory settings, which resolved the problem. If you encounter the same issue, just power off the device, restart it, and then when you see the Tecno logo, hold the power and volume up button simultaneously. Then the phone should reboot again. Just keep holding the power and volume up button until the phone vibrates. Then release the power and volume up button. Then you will be greeted with the Tecno logo again. Wait for about 3 to 5 seconds, then hold the power and volume up keys again until the bootloader image appears. To enter into the bootloader menu, just hold the power and volume up button. So hope this helps. Now let's move on to the charging test. The test I made was based on the Smart Charge, not the Hypercharge option, so it took for about an hour and 21 minutes to fully charge the phone. And I chose this charging option just to prolong the battery life and avoid straining the battery. And it seems that Tecno's claim about the phone charging fully in 50 minutes is actually true. But let me know in the comment section if you have achieved this. Now let's talk about the phone's ergonomics. When my partner first saw this phone, she was impressed, but when she noticed how big the screen is, she immediately said she would never use it because it's too big for her hands. And I agree, because this is catered for gamings who needs big screen for their advantage. About the phone's fingerprint scanner, unlocking the phone using the on-screen fingerprint scanner is not the fastest, but it gets the job done. I also tested unlocking the phone with wet hands or fingers, and surprisingly, it works well. even with a wet screen where the fingerprint scanner is located. However, the phone only has an IP53 rating, which means it is only water and splash resistant. So do not submerge this in the water. Also, I do not like where they place the on-screen fingerprint scanner. For me, it's just too low and you need to reposition your hands after unlocking the phone. One notable feature is the dynamic lighting. You have 8 lighting effects to choose from. You can also set different lighting effects for incoming calls, notification, and music. Now let's talk about watching videos on this phone. The phone has a 1080 by 2436 pixel Full HD AMOLED display. While the screen provides satisfying color reproductions, I've noticed overblown highlights in the videos when some scenes has pink color and higher saturation or oversaturation when the color in the video is red. But overall, watching 4K videos on this phone is impressive. And as for the Dolby Atmos, well, sorry to say, it's just a sticker slapped on the box. And here's why. When you increase the volume from 80% to 100%, you should hear a thump and rumble bass depending on the scene because that's what Dolby is for. Not just the 3D surround, that the sound travels from the left speaker to right or vice versa. But all I get is an ear discomfort due to audio distortion, and if you set the volume lower than 80%, then you will hear a bit of bass, but it's too weak to appreciate. Now let's move on to our video test at 1080p 60 frames per second. So we experience subpar video quality. Unfortunately, I cannot stress enough how bad it looks, and it doesn't seem to have the 60 frames per second. Instead, we have a 30 frames per second video quality. And note that underneath the 108 megapixels camera, there is a Samsung ISOCELL HM2 sensor. So the video quality shouldn't be this bad, and it only shows that Tecno has a long way to go when it comes to their video algorithm. As for taking videos at night with 1080p 30 frames per second with stabilization on, the stabilization works well as long as you walk slowly. However, the quality of the video is unusable for my taste, and as for no stabilization, you notice more shaking while walking at the same pace as when taking videos with the stabilization on. Now let's head on to our photo test. On your left, the photo was shot in 108 megapixels, but you'll notice that it loses a lot of details. On the right, which was taken as 3x, it was able to retain good details. You'll notice also an improvement camera performance not because of the 108 megapixels, but because of the sensors they have used. Before, green colors like leaves or grass, this would have been brightened or over brightened or even oversaturated. But this time, it's well balanced. One thing I've noticed is that the camera sometimes struggle to focus. As in this sample, on your right, this was the first photo taken, and you'll notice a little blurriness. When I took another shot, which is on your left, it's better but still a bit blurry. Next, we have 3 samples here. From left to right, we have photo taken in 108 megapixels, and again, it had issues focusing. In the middle, it was cropped to 3.5 from the 108 megapixels, and it was able to retain some details. And on your right, which was taken at 3x, it was able to take decent shots with a nice blur effect on the background. Our next photo on the left, the shot is clean, taken from 108 megapixels. In the middle, is our photo that was cropped 3 times, and it's also clean as you can see. Same as when the photo was taken at 3x, but you will notice a difference on the right where you will see more details which are encircled versus the photo from left and the middle. Now on the left photo was taken first, again, you will notice blurriness highlighted in the circle, and on your right was taken after, which is clear and how it should be. Now we have another sample to highlight improvements in Tecno's camera algorithm. As you can see, the photo from the Tecno Spark 20 Pro has soft colors and lost some details. Unlike with the Tecno Pova 6 Pro, which is more vivid but not oversaturated, it has good contrast and sharp details. Next is using the feature called Sky Shot. If you're into it, then here's a sample. As for taking photos at night, 108 megapixel shots performs better than the Super Night mode, as you can see highlighted in the circle. When compared to the Tecno Spark 20 Pro, both taken using the Super Night mode, the Tecno Spark 20 Pro outperforms the Tecno Pova 6 Pro 5G. It captures cleaner shots than the Tecno Pova 6 Pro 5G. With this phone's camera performance, don't expect too much when taking photos from a distance. As you can see in our next example, it's recommended to use 3x zoom feature rather than just shooting it by default in 108 megapixels. But then again, this phone may have the 108 megapixels but was never made for photography. Instead, it was built for gaming. Now for selfies, it is okay. One thing to point out though is that even though the phone manages to soften the skin tone without using beautification, the skin tone leans towards a reddish color. You'll see it in a way I pointed this out. While at night under low light conditions, photo quality loses sharpness and becomes somewhat blurry. While taking video using the front-facing camera, it manages to get the right skin tone, and at night, under less desirable lighting conditions, the camera performs okay with less noise and grains in the video. Now let's head into the gaming test. Our first test is Mobile Legends in its maximum settings. I didn't experience any frame drops as expected, and the phone's temperature is okay, though I don't have a device to monitor it. I assume that the temperature was around 38 to 40 degrees, but the test was conducted under a room temperature of 28 degrees. With Farlight, with graphics settings set to HD Extreme on frame rate and medium in resolution. I experienced occasional lag, though it's playable. I would recommend setting it to a lower graphics settings to achieve a lag-free gaming experience. Now with Call of Duty Mobile, graphics settings set to medium and high frame rate. I didn't experience any lag or frame drops, but if you play with 20% or less battery, you will experience occasional frame drops, especially when recording your video. With Call of Duty Warzone, the only graphics setting option we have is low, but I've noticed when I set up the game for the first time, there was a message that says, as you play more or play along, you will have better graphics quality. So I'll do my best to have more playtime with this game to see whether or not it's true. But in the meantime, this is what we have for this game. As for the gaming experience, there is no lag or frame drops. Lastly, playing PUBG Mobile. Our graphics settings is set at smooth and frame rate at power saving. Given that setting was set to the lowest, PUBG Mobile is very well known to heat up your phone, and this phone manages to control the temperature even with long gaming sessions. Overall, the Tecno Pova 6 Pro 5G is light in the pocket but heavy in the design. This is primarily catered to gamers with an extra bump in camera performance. If you're looking for your next gaming smartphone, then this phone is for you. But if you're looking for gaming, better camera performance, and phone ergonomics, then I suggest checking out my review for the Honor X8B. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe.